Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Today I'm talking once again about Nexo and borrowing. And this is the fourth episode that I'm doing. I did 3, got some feedback, had a little bit of back and forth with people, and I'm going to post the other 3 series up here like I usually do. And if I'm off to the side, the focus is the whiteboard, not me today. So I'm going to try to reposition the lighting. Can't really do much of the glare. You know that this says 2 houses. It's 2 of them. Okay, so just move the 2 over there because there's a glare right there. Can't really do much about that, but I think that we have a pretty good viewing surface, so let's just go with it. So this is where we started from the last 3. We talked, just a quick review. We talked about asset-backed loans. The original episode 1 that I put up here was the most common example is borrowing against houses. We did that in episode 1. Episode 2, I renamed the houses Bitcoin 1 and Bitcoin 2. Kind of like thing 1 and thing 2. I think you guys kind of get the reference there. And this is all, we talked about using Nexo and how there was a margin call. That was episode 3. So now we talked about how you make the payments. Now I'm going to talk about the most complicated thing, and this is the question I get a lot. It's hard for people to grasp, but I'm going to tell you about how this dynamic works and how this loan, you're not caring about the loan. You're never going to pay off the loan. I'm going to explain that, and I'm going to explain how it's going to be I'll say a little bit of math, but it's probably a lot of math. I'm probably going to have to pause in the middle, let you digest it, and I'll come back and I'll add even further to it and show you what the 4-year plan looks like. So, let me go back to the original assumption that you have 2 Bitcoin, all right? And I'm going to change it to present day values. We're not even going to use 100K. I'm going to show how this works with a Bitcoin roughly of 40K, okay? So, we're going to say 40K per Bitcoin. Now, if you see me looking down, I got a lot of notes here to try to get the numbers right. I am doing conservative numbers, and I'm talking about them. I will be conservative, and I will show you how this works out and how you don't have to worry about that loan. So I know that's a tough thing for people to understand, but this is how real estate moguls do it. This is how other people do it. This is how the wealthy do it. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. So let me walk through this, and I'm going to give a simple 4-year example. Okay, in 4 years, how you can change your life in 4 years with just 2 Bitcoin, and using conservative numbers. Now, obviously, that it can go faster with more Bitcoin, or if my numbers, my conservative numbers, change, but the steps are the same. So let me go through it real quickly. And again, we have loan, asset, and credit line. So we start with 1 Bitcoin. All right, that's where we started. And I'm going to change this to dollar values so everybody can understand. It's 40K, okay? So I have 40K that I'm starting with a Bitcoin. Immediately on deposit with Nexo, I get 50%, so I have a credit line of 20K. I'm probably going to be dropping the Ks because it's just going to be just annoying to keep writing the Ks. So everything's in thousands, okay? Now, I take that credit line and I use it all to make a loan of 20K, and I take that, I borrow from that. Can I make that a little more? It's leaning down. You can see the numbers, so I'm gonna let's try and raise this so I get more room. 20K. All right, I'm gonna drop the K's going forward after this. So 20,000. I take this, and through the borrow number, I have 20,000 from the credit line. So now my credit line's all exhausted. I had nothing left, but I take this and I buy more Bitcoin, and now I have 60K. All right, I'm going to slash that through. I'm at 60K. Okay? So I stand where with a $20,000 loan, I have 60K, I have a credit line of 20K. My credit line just went to 30K. After I get through this example, I'll drop the case. So this discrepancy, this extra credit line, I have 30K here of credit line. I have a loan of 20K. I have a liability of 20K. I have to make payments of it, and I have assets here. That's where I stand right now on basically day 1. So with a couple of steps, I now have $60,000 worth of Bitcoin. I have a credit line of $30,000 that's going to be able to service this debt of 20K, but I'm not going to pay the debt off. I'm just going to make the payments. Now, I'm going to go through I'm going to jump over here. Woohoo! All right. 4-year plan. Let's draw lines. I could have drawn them from the other side, but, is what it is. All right. So this is year 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Jumping back. Okay. I didn't really have to jump over there. It was just fun. All right. In year 1, I'm going to make 2 assumptions. First, the average rate of appreciation for Bitcoin over the last decade is 200%. Okay, which means this number should go up 200% year over year consistently. Now, I'm not going to assume that. I'm not going to assume, because some of the early years went faster than the others, and it varies. But what I'm going to assume is going to be half that. It's going to double every year. Now, I understand that it's not a straight line going from 60K to 120K and so on and so on and so on. That's what the buffer is for. But I'm going to assume that this number is going to go up by a factor of, it's going to double every year. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start with, in year 1, I'm at 120. Now I go up to, so in year 1, I'm not changing the loan. The loan is still 20K. I still have 20K in this bubble. All right, still have a loan of 20. But my credit line just increased to 60K, which is 50% of this number. Still able to service this debt. And actually, this loan went up. I've been making payment. The loan is higher because the payments, the credit line has been paying the payments. So the credit line is saying, and I'm going to use a conservative number, worst case scenario of 15%. Nexo is about 13%, I believe, 12.9, maybe it's 14. But let's just say 15% for round numbers. So at 15% of that, now I'm at roughly 23,000. So now that goes to 23. Okay? Sounds horrible, right? I've gone, my loan went up from 20,000 to 23,000 because my credit line is making the payments. So it's sucking money out of my credit line to make those payments. So, but my credit line is now 60,000 because my asset went up to 120. Year 2. I'm not changing anything. I haven't made any purchases. I'm just letting this ride, and I'll come back to you in 4 years. Let's just go through the exercise. Now this doubles again. Now I'm at 240. My credit line, 50%. My loan, I'm going to be conservative here again, and I'm going to say it went up to 26.5. The little tick mark is going to mean a half, okay? 26.5. For those of you who know where that comes from, yes, I used to have these notes. I used to help people with football games and understand these kinds of numbers, but that's kind of a Vegas number. So the tick mark means a half. So now, after 2 years, I have $240,000 in assets because Bitcoin went up by a factor of 4. If you think that can't happen, go back 2 years and try me on that one. Okay, Bitcoin in 2 years has gone from 60K to 240K. My credit line is 120K because it's 50% of this number. My loan is 26. I even call it 27. I don't care if you call it 30. But in the reality of the numbers, the next year this is 30.5. All right, doubling again. Now I'm at 480. Writing sideways, hang with me. 480, and this is 240. Again, I'm just doubling the numbers. Bitcoin went up, doubled in a year, and then my credit line doubles accordingly because it's still 50% of this number. Do you see where this is going? Do you see that my credit line is now way bigger? First off, my assets are growing. I have almost $500,000 of assets. If I wanted to cash out, I could right now. I could cash out and I could pay off this $30,000 loan and I'd walk away with $450,000. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep going. I'm going to go one more year and I'm going to make this 960 as best I can, writing sideways. Credit line's 480, but that may not, we'll get back to that. And then my loan, I'm going to make this 35.5. So my loan is 35.5. I'm just circling the loan so you can see them discriminating from the years. I'm going to change that to blacks in a moment so you can see it better. Well, I'll leave it alone. So I want you to see $35,000 in loan. My assets are $960,000 in 4 years. And my credit line is $480,000. Now, do you see the power of this yet? In 4 years, I now have the ability, I have nearly $1 million in assets. It doubled. It went up by a factor of 16 in 61, 22, 40. Yeah. Double. That's 2 to the 4th. That's 16. It went up 16x in 4 years. Again, if you think Bitcoin can't do that, for the last decade, it has gone up 200% over that same time frame. But I'm going to be conservative and just say it goes up half of that. And I overestimated the loan. Now, this is a lot to digest, but do you see that your assets far outweigh your loan? I could sell everything right now if I wanted to. Or I could sell the Bitcoin that I have, that I work so hard to control, and pay off that debt. If you felt better at this point, you'd walk away with over $900,000 in assets right now. And I bet that you could probably borrow against it and have a nice living. But we're going to go a little bit further and show you how this actually can really accelerate and how you can make this really work for you after you lower your aggression level in year 1 through 4. And this may happen sooner than you think. So I'm going to pause there. I'll be right back with part 2.